Hey guys, welcome back to another Quest for the Sixes 55 update. So last time, in the last video, we were back to doing fiberglass work, took a break from chassis work, but we're going back to chassis work today. So before I get started explaining that, I have to explain kind of the situation and what happened so that way you know how we're moving forward. I've got a couple people to thank. In one of my last videos, I had mentioned the reason that we had stopped on the front was because we were waiting on our struts from Strange to ship. So ordered them from Summit. They were being built at Strange and going to drop ship directly from them. The date got pushed out just a little, which isn't a huge deal, but we needed something to at least use to mock up so that way we could move forward and wrap up the chassis. And a local Arkansan, Kevin Robertson, actually stopped by the shop and had a set. And he's like, use these to mock up, I'll get them back later. So that's awesome. So that allowed us to move forward. So huge shout out to Kevin. Also, our friend Andy Alberto was watching the video and he saw it. So he's like, I've got a set of struts. Like, I took them off my car. I'll send them to you. We're like, we got some ordered. He's like, take them, use them, see if they'll help. So huge shout out to Andy. In case ours don't make it in time, we'll actually get to use his on the car. Those guys helped us get going on. Dad's actually doing some stuff for the struts right now. He's building something. Have him explain that in just a second, so that way we can start on the chassis. He is in deep concentration here working on threading, but just showing you kind of what's going on, and then I'll have him explain. Don't want to distract him too much.
Making it up as I go along.
Okay, so now that you've got this part cut, and I think I can bug you a little bit, not distracting you, concentration-wise, explain what you're making and then kind of show the before and after of that.
So it's pretty common. I just don't want to buy them and I don't want to wait, but it's an adjustable strut cup. So the upper mount on the strut will actually, the bolt will go down inside this tube. This will have a bottom welded on it, not this full length, just a short 3-inch piece. And we'll bolt the strut into this big threaded bolt is what it basically is. And I'll cut some slots in the top. We'll make a socket that the cup that'll weld to the frame, the front down bars, it'll be welded in there. This will screw in and out, which will effectively lower and raise the car. That way we can race at one height. When we get ready to leave and we got the car jacked up, we just run that down. I'm gonna make ours adjust the front end up like 1.5 inches, which doesn't sound like much, but it makes a lot of difference when you're driving on the street and you're only 3.5 inches off the ground, or you're 5 inches off the ground. It makes the difference.
Right.
So this is literally just a couple pieces. I've built some axles for some gassers, that mine being one of them, that was bad to bend an axle from wheelies. So this is a piece of DOM tubing that's 2 1/4 thick with 3/8 wall. I'm going to end up boring it out, making it a little bit thinner in here, but I didn't even shave it down. It's literally the 2 1/4, and I just cut these 9 threads per inch. I'm not a master manual machinist, but I do know just enough to cut some threads. The interesting part is going to be cutting the inside threads, which we're getting close to doing.
Right, so just did that, and then getting ready to do this one, and then inside, and then the biggest part, I guess, that's going to take the most time consuming is just boring it out from this. The threads are actually going pretty quick, right?
I'm going to start, this is once done.
5 minutes.
I'm going to start with a piece of 3-inch solid stock, because that's all I have. We're making with what we have. And I'll make it 2 3/4 outside, so I'll cut that 3-inch down to 2 3/4, and then I'll bore it out on the ID for the diameter that we need for these threads. And then we'll have to use I've got it rigged up somewhere here, boring bar that I'll thread from the inside. It'll be just like this, just cutting threads on the inside.
got that wrapped up. I didn't necessarily get it on video at all. So explain what happened, what you got done, what we're looking at here.
So the strut cups are done, multiple pieces. So this was a piece of solid 3-inch chromoly. So it's hard to cut, but I bored it and then cut threads in it. I just picked a number. I did 9 threads per inch just for fun. I made a thread cutting tool, and then I made these. This is a piece of DOM tube, and I made it, you know, just threaded it on the outside and bored it on the inside, then made this to weld on the bottom. So this will go on the strut. That's just a lock ring. I made that. And then that goes back together. So that will be our 2 upper tubes will weld like this, one going down to the front frame, one going back to the roll cage. So then when we're at the track, we'll lower it. When we're leaving the track, we'll raise it. I can get about 1.5 inches up and about 1 inch down. So we got a lot of room. And what we'll do is this strut's very short. It's only got 2 3/4 travel. So they typically want you to have 3/4 compression on the drag strip, but that's really not enough for driving. So we'll raise the car up and we'll lower the spring, or raise the spring and get, you know, half and half, probably maybe 1.5 inches of compression. So if we get a pothole.
So now that that is finished, getting ready to start on struts, which I'm getting ready to turn around. You saw a little glimpse in the first part of this clip, but the car's looking good where it's sitting. So I'm gonna turn it around. Look at it. Wow! Looks so good. Okay, so working on right now, getting ready to, well, setting how far in the wheels are, so you can work on the rack.
That's the whole point of this exercise. You know, it's just sitting up there with some boards in the front and the wheels on a bucket. But we're trying to, you know, the car is very low. This, you know, when you get a 55 and you got a 15, or that's a set, what is it, 17?
Yeah.
It's up inside the fender. We've got to be in some in order to turn for a street car. So we're just trying to figure out how far in we want to put the tire so I can start building the struts and the front end on the thing. Look at it though. That looks really good with it pulled in like that. I love the look.
It looks so good. Back up. I like that. Now let's go check out the front end. So this is the front clip that'll go on that car. You guys are gonna see a video on that soon. That's exciting. But I'll show you the front clip. Okay, so this is the front clip that Mom and I laid up the other day. It turned out really nice, but Dad pulled it out of the mold and said too heavy. So this one is all fiberglass. That one back there is partly fiberglass, partly carbon. So it's lighter. So
yeah, this one was, the resin's getting old. I know what happened. The resin's getting old, and you guys did 3 layers of glass, and you can do that, and it'll be kind of race weight, between race weight and street weight. But this was street weight. As much as we've done to save weight on that car, we're not going to stop now. We've got the stuff to do carbon front end, so we're going to do the same as that. I think there's 16 pounds we weighed between this one and that one. So we're gonna shave 16 pounds off. We've got a place for this one to go. So.
Yeah, so this one will be used. It just won't be used on this car. So resin came in today for that. So going to lay a new one up.
You did awesome. We put the braces in. Look at your braces. It's, the thing's sturdy. It's a bitchin' front end.
It turned out so nice. I was like, are you sure we can't use it?
16 pounds is 16 pounds.
It's true. It just looks good. It turned out it's a nice piece.
Yeah, we have not, I haven't ground it yet.
Yeah,
so this is the way it comes out of the mold. You can see the mold flash.
Still got the clay on it.
Clay on the parting lines. This will get ground and cleaned up. But look at the shine. You could run that. That looks better than the black paint.
I know. I'm looking at the mirror here going on. So it does look good. It's just, it'll be for another car. Okay, so a lot's changed since I last talked about the struts. The front is looking like an actual wrapped up car pretty soon. So talk about what you've done so far. We talked about the strut cups already, the adjustable cups there, but you've got the struts mocked up with a jig and working on the forward down bars. Well, I guess they're done and you're about to weld them in.
Yep, they're cut and they're actually just sitting in place. There's some pretty complicated cuts there.
Oh, that's a, well, hang on. That is a notched up notch.
And then the top ones, I got to clean them up, but
that one's
it's the same way.
Too.
So it takes a lot to fit them in the places where they have to go. But they'll weld thoroughly, top and bottom. I'll have some gussets in here. The cup will weld in here, and then there'll be gussets going like this, sheet metal gussets, just to help stiffen it up. And then the next thing, which is as soon as I get these welded, I'll put the front motor plate on, which is right now just a 12-inch by 36-inch, I think, piece, or 24. I'm not even sure, just wide enough to come out here. So there'll be some bars right up here that'll have studs, and the front plate will bolt to that. That's coming today. Front to back is important, and I don't know, I'm not going to say that it's necessarily exactly where Chevrolet put it in 55, because I didn't measure a stock car. I measured off of my gasser, and actually found that my gasser is a little bit ahead of where I wanted this, but the difference in ride height is substantial. So when you come this low as this car is going to be, that tire placement, if it's off a ½ inch in that fender, it looks goofy to me.
Yeah, noticeable.
So, you know, I'm not sure it's where Chevrolet, because I actually know that we moved the back tires on these things to where they look proper rather than where Chevrolet actually had them. So same thing for the front. We put a front cap up here and stuck a tire up at actual ride height, which is the top of this frame jig is asphalt. So we just set the bucket to where the tire would sit in it at that height and moved it back and forth and in and out until we got it where we liked it. Oddly enough, I believe, even as low as this car is, the track width on the front end is actually stock from what I can gather. Chevrolet measured their track width from the center of the tire to the center of the tire. That doesn't mean necessarily it's right from the hub to hub, but it's pretty darn close. So this is actually 58 inches, or will be. It's 3 inches out from this surface to the hub where the tire bolts on. And it looks very much pulled in from what a stock one would. But our wheels are only 3.5 inches wide. So right. I guess that's just backspace and width. But we got that set, and then I put these pieces of upright in the milling machine and bored very accurate holes, 7/8 and 1.25 inch hole. So these struts go in and bolt up, and there's no slop. So I set these to this.
What the heck?
Let me see what's going on out here.
Okay, pause on that story. While he is doing that, going to be polishing chrome. So most of the chrome we got is new, ordered from Dan Chuck, or ordered from Summit Dan Chuck. So that's majority new, but around the windshield, this is some that he had in stock. So we're missing a piece for the rear, but our friend Reggie is actually picking it up today. So he's gonna grab that, bring that sometime, and then gonna pick the best here and polish that. Okay, 3 pieces done. It's cleaning up pretty good. Very shiny. And then, just for reference, this is the before. So, it's not super beat up or anything, just dirty and some scratches. So the front's looking pretty good. It looks kind of like it's almost done. I can see it now. Just a little left. Just a little bit. That means chassis is pretty much wrapped up, almost. There's a couple more bars to add.
Pretty much almost wrapped up.
Pretty much almost. So there's going to be one more bar possibly from there back.
Probably not.
Depending on turbos, because location. That'd be the only ones here.
They'll
and then
be
the
up
lower
control arms.
Lower control arms.
Parts.
And then motor plate, front motor plates in.
Work, so as you can see, this is kind of race height, and we can screw these down 2 inches and raise the car, or we can screw them down or jack the springs up to give more clearance on the street to drive in here for compression. So we have options here.
Yep, so those look good. So been lots of work on chassis up to this point, but I think we're at a point where we can transition to something different like rear end. So that's exciting, getting ready to talk about that, but still have the rack and all that, but very, as far as chassis, pretty much done. So
Yep.
That's good. And then over here for rear end, this is the Rhodes fabricated 4 9-inch housing that Dad's already cut the axle tubes down. I think he cut off, he said, more than what's
Cut 14 inches off each side, so it cut more off than what's left.
Yep, so we ordered that from Summit. He is getting that all cut, ready for the car today, and got those brackets from Sin Cut Sin. That's really nice.
Yeah, these are your design and drawing, and I just put them together and put them on here. I just remembered, though, that I've got to put the doubler plates on, so I got to take them back off and bolt them together and weld all the doubler plates on, which is quite a bit of welding before I can put them on here. Then I'll set the pinion angle, tack these, and then let me find the housing in. I machined a little bit off, just like 4 or 5 thousandths off of the end, and I've drilled these holes so they probably won't slide in, but they actually slide in all the way to where they're supposed to go, except for the burrs here. And then they'll weld, and then they'll have the rosette welds here.
It's gonna be nice to have the actual rear end in the car. That's exciting.
For those who don't understand or don't know what a floater is, so if you break an axle on a regular car, if you break it out here, or even if you break it another place, it depends on the kind of bearing setup you have, the wheel can come off the car. This is more like a big truck or a 1-ton truck. You know, even a 1-ton truck will have it, or a 3/4 ton. But the bearing is actually, the axle is not riding the weight of the car. I'm trying to put this together and think at the same time. The hub actually is made onto the housing end, so the axle goes in here, and it'll have splines on both ends. So the axle looks a little different. This would be made onto your axle typically, but in this case, the axle has splines on this end and on the inside the rear end. So it's just a shaft with splines. So if you were to twist an axle, which would be really hard on this kind of setup, the wheel still stays in place, just like a big truck.
A little bit safer.
Yep,
It's gonna
a
look
little
good.
bitty guy, 39 inches wide.
It is. It looks so funny. The brackets, I said, the brackets look like they're as tall as the rear end is wide,
Yeah,
but
it's big. The
that's gonna be
brackets are
nice.
huge. Rear end is not so much.
no, it's gonna be nice. And then we can take this mock-up one out, and you can see it's gonna look good sitting next to those Mickey Thompson tires back there. So it'll actually be made where it's just a little bit narrow. So if we decided to go with a little bit wider tire, that will be optional later. But hopefully this tire, we're really happy with it because it looks really good. And according to Mickey Thompson, this is the one that we want to run. So
But the beauty of this is where we have it sit, I think we can let the air out of the tires, jack the car up, let the rear end drop, pull the wheel off of the short studs, they're not real long, and actually get the tire out without having to cut the quarter panel. That's what we're hoping for.
another exciting component that made us today that I'm getting ready to show you is a steering column. So you're thinking probably, what's exciting about a steering column? But if you've noticed in the last set of videos throughout this duration of this 55 build series, you've seen an Ididit logo pop up in the corner every once in a while throughout the videos. Ididit is a steering column manufacturer who has typically been in like the retrofit universal columns for like, you know, more street style cars. Ididit has branched out and we're going with Ididit Performance now. So this is their 35th year of business, and they have come out with this new, not this year, but within the last couple years, come out with this new steering column called the Pro Light. They've also got just a fabricated column. Before the 55, as you know, we've been focused on saving weight where we can save weight, because we have to sacrifice that in some other areas. So, to show you the new steering column, it is so light, it weighs 6.5 pounds. It's a universal fit, so they have them for different muscle cars that are already proper links and everything for that actual vehicle. But the one I've got is a universal 30-inch column, so it's going to have the quick disconnect for the steering wheel. They're actually coming out with a new one of those that has an audible click, so once that's SFI certified, we'll put that in the 55. So it came at the perfect time because it's about time to put it in the car, and I'm actually going to do an install video on that. But Ididit's linked below. They're moving into the performance market. Check them out, see what they're doing. So it's a really nice piece. I'm getting ready to show you. So this is the steering column here. So it does come with canceling blinkers as well as four-way hazards, so four light hazards. So very light. It is got the SFI certified hub here. So this is a 6-bolt. We will be getting a 5-bolt for the steering wheel, or else we'll be getting a different steering wheel. We've changed it a little bit, but the 6-bolt comes with it from the factory in the kit. So that is what it comes with, but you can see it's a really nice piece. They also have it available in black powder coating. So went with this raw aluminum look, but it's really nice. It's so light. That's a little over 6 pounds. So pretty cool. I'm linking this below for you guys to check out. But that way you've got your turn signals and all of that still. You're not losing that for you street cars out there and drag weekers and race weekers. So you've got all those pieces that you need, but in a light column. So it's really nice. Ididit will be a partner for the rest of this build, the duration of this build, and also a partner with us through the race season coming up. So thank you guys at Ididit. I appreciate your support. If you guys need a steering column, go check them out. They also make them for golf carts. I know you probably have a golf cart that needs an Ididit steering column. Fun fact. That looks good, dude.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, very
Spinny without anything in here.
Very nice. That is nice. So, as you saw, I was getting the brackets ready to go. Now you've got the doubler plates welded on, got the pinion angle set, all that figured out. We did a little bit of CAD work earlier just to get the angles and measurements and everything. So that's all ready to go. It looks good. That's a nice piece.
Yeah, it is. the cool part is that, you know, we can get in the car and take our angle finder and stick it on our rear end that's in there, which is just kind of floating around. It's not real accurate. And then we can stick it on a drive shaft. Then we can stick it on the front of the motor or the bottom of the starter pad. We can do all this calculation and say, wait, what was that number again? Was that 2.9 or was it 1.9? And it's like, okay. So I took measurements. It was really pretty cool. Alex plotted it on CAD system. Then we were able to get our drive shaft angles, and I jacked the back of the transmission up just a little bit, and we have the perfect drive shaft angle. So what I did was I took that known angle, and I put this on here, and I set my pinion angle so we'd have what we want. And then I took, kind of getting ahead of things, but I'd already machined the housing, and I actually put it in the lathe and put the taper in here. As you can see, made sure everything was super nice. So this is gonna get welded solid. Then I drilled 4 plug holes, which we're gonna rosette weld. Those tubes that come all the way to this plate, they slide in. I machined the tubes down, just, I think it was 5 thousandths to make them slide in. But anyway, once we got that done, I put these 2 long bolts in these caliper mounting holes. It's a caliper bracket. This will be bolted in here, and that sets the caliper up at a 45-degree angle, which is the way they do it. I normally stick them straight out the back, but anyway, the whole point is that by doing that, I was able to set the keyway that's out here in the end and the caliper at that 45. The keyway's at a 90, and it's set with a pinion angle. So you don't set it, if I didn't set it square, so when you turn it, the keyway's kind of pointed up at 10 degrees or something. That kind of stuff drives me nuts. So when the rear end's actually in the car, which this is exactly the tip that it will have, these brackets are not welded, but when the rear end's in the car and you look at the keyway and the end of that, it'll be exactly 90 with the earth, not with the car, but it's setting with the earth. So it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Get all those tubes welded in, and I'll weld these brackets on. I'll set those exactly, put this back, I'll mess it up during that process. Put this back at our pinion angle, weld the brackets solid. Then we got to come out of here with some tubes. It'll come up here, and then a back brace. There's not much room for a back brace.
Right.
But it'll be there.
This video, there was a lot of, kind of like an earlier video where there's a lot going on, but there's not a lot going on kind of thing. But we're getting at a point where it's going to be a lot of assembly pretty soon. So that's exciting. It's
going to go in the car. We've worked really hard to keep that stance. And you know, there's been questions about getting the wheels and tires out. So what we've decided, instead of maybe not having to cut anything on the quarter panel, we've got that wheel sucked in just enough, and with our stud length and everything, I think we're going to be able to, you know, we'll have to let the air out of the tire probably, but we want to do that anyway to crush it down to get it out from under there. I think it's actually going to make it pretty easy to get the wheel and tire off without cutting anything and still keep the car really low. That's our goal.
Low.
Yep.
Low is the goal. All right, so most of this video has been Dad doing lots of rear end work. So showing you what's going on. So I think I said earlier in the video, can't remember, we are doing another front end. So, because we're doing it out of carbon just to lighten it, just a little, the last part had some old resin, so it was a little bit thick. So it was a little bit heavier, nice part. Anyway, so Mom and I are doing that today. Like I said, be working this weekend. So the video that you're seeing now is a little bit late. Apologize for the upload being late, but I wanted to wait. There's the other one. I wanted to wait until we got this rear end finished because it looks so good. It's like I need to at least see the final product before I post it. So it's a little late. YouTube might punish me for it. I don't know, but it's worth it. Okay, we got talking in the background, but
you got smack talk in the back.
Smack talking, trash talking.
Made a nice wishbone mount, adjustable. Ours will probably be in the bottom hole because the angle that it will be. But that's all on. I made those 1/4 inch because they take quite a beating, more than people would realize. So this is all welded. Everything's welded. Tubes welded in here for bracing. The backing plates are the doublers. And this, it looks kind of retarded because it's off-centered, 9 inches, 1 inch offset. Now most people build the housing centered, but we didn't build this housing. So I went with what we had. And then this, Start Life is a paper pattern, 2-piece. And then I converted it somewhere. There's a masonite pattern. Then make a more rigid version. Once I've got that made, cut it out of steel.
Oh, you fancy.
That's where we're at.
Very.
We'll show the finished product. That'll be welded, fully tigged, and the back plate put on it. Then
But
it'll be done.
It looks good.
How?
It
Done
looks
stamp.
good. I like it.
I do too. Especially done.
Yeah.
I like that part.
Done is good.
Yep.
This weekend there'll be a lot going on. Dad'll be working back here. I will be working up here on the Nova, getting it apart. Poor Nova. But it's making a sacrifice for speed, so that's a good thing. It'll get its stuff back later. Just some updates on some other stuff. So if any of you guys will be at LS Fest West coming up soon, I will be there. I am super excited. I'm going to be doing some really fun stuff with Holly. So I'm going to be driving a C8 for autocross. And then I will also get to try my hand at driving the dirt off-road trucks there. So there will be videos from that coming up on the Holly channel as well as some on my channel. So stay tuned for that. If you guys are at LS Fest West, make sure to stop by and say hi, find me. So lots of stuff coming up, lots of fun projects, and then I have another projects in the works that I can't wait to tell you guys about. So I've been busy on some other stuff, but the 55 is getting ready to take priority this weekend. Okay, so the upload is definitely late at this point. I'm very sorry about that. But since we were already late, I decided we should just go ahead and wait until Dad got the rear end done. It's pretty much done, right?
All except for welding.
But pretty much done.
I'm letting it cool. I'm not slacking, I'm letting it cool.
He's doing something. I think this gets the visual across. That looks really good though. It turned out well. So got the brackets and all that, and then this is the back brace. So he actually bought a back brace but decided wanted something a little bit stronger, so went ahead and made his own, which turned out really nice. So while I've been trying to get this uploaded for tonight, Mom's also been laying up fiberglass for the front end, so we're not slacking. It's 9:51. We're still here. It's just
I'm waiting on mine to dry.
Yeah, we're just waiting, and I've been waiting on rendering of this video for 30 minutes. So,
We're all waiting on something.
That's it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, be happy, go fast, and stay pretty. I will see you guys next time.